Hello, and welcome to the Peaceful Empowerment Work Show. We are live on WGSN-DB Going Solo Network. I am your co-host, Judy Porter, and I am here with my co-host in peace, Miss.
Kris Burke. Hey, everybody.
Hey, everybody. You know the routine before we get started. If you appreciate the information that we bring, please like, share, comment, and subscribe.
Yes, and remember you get virtual candy kisses for commenting.
Candy kisses and confetti.
Yeah.
Yes, nothing we discuss today constitutes legal, financial, or medical advice. Should you seek legal, financial, or medical advice, consult a professional in that specific field directly. Okay, today's topic, framing your new life story. I love it because last week we took inventory, so we've gathered up what works for us, and here we are. We're like, all right, we got what works. What the hell do we do next?
Yeah.
Now we work on the framing.
Yeah. Really exciting. Funny because as we're going through our days and we're experiencing the contents of what's in our belief system, what we're expecting, and also what's, part of our path, what's kind of rolling out in front of us. We tend to notice as a society, we tend to look for the things that are not working and talk about those. We'll kind of write a story about it, right? Like, oh my goodness, this happened and that's so unfair. It's a big injustice. And here's all the information about that. And we might talk to somebody about it. Like, I just had an incident with a barn floor where there was water underneath. And so I talked about that a fair amount. I told the story to, fair number of people. But then ultimately, in order for that to be resolved, when I'm framing up my new life story, what I really want to do is say projects that are done work in harmony, are harmonious, right? The results are in alignment with everybody's highest good. Like, I want to be talking about framing those things. I don't want to be looking at what might go wrong and framing my new life story in those terms. So I wouldn't want to say, in my new life story, that nonsense isn't going to happen anymore, right? Because actually what I'm bringing into my new life story is framework is a belief in the nonsense. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It makes total sense. It's when all you do, and we've talked about this a couple of weeks ago, when all you do is focus, your energy goes where your focus is. And if we're focusing on all the things that could go wrong, we're asking for things to go wrong.
Yeah.
It's not to say that you don't need to be knowledgeable. Of course you do. But you focus your energy on everything working smoothly.
Mm-hmm.
People taking pride in their work, people doing it as it should be done, as what is best for the barn, what is best for the hay, what is best for the horses, and what is best for you.
Yeah.
And so,
them, right? And also
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. One of the things you can tell Judy's heard the story because she knows all the players and the details, right? But this is a story that's been going on for several months. And the thing is that nobody was able to take action. Nobody was, willing and able to take action. And so something that could have been addressed that is now being addressed and is being resolved in 48 hours has actually been a thorn in not only our sides but the contractor's side, like everybody's side. Everybody who's had to hear the story 100 times for months, really, when it was something that could have been addressed in 48 hours. So it's important as we write those new stories to kind of understand, like, my role in my new life story has to be new.
What? It has to be new? Stop it. Yeah, it's funny. As you were talking, I was thinking the visual I got was, instead of swimming in the goo, we fly and soar in the wind.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, stay above it all. See it. I got a great analogy this morning. Analogy, metaphor, simile. I mean, all of you English comp people are probably just moaning and groaning right now because I don't know the difference. I used to know, I forgot, and I guess I don't bother to remember anymore. So I have this thing about people have been talking to me about their pain, different kinds of pain, and how, I just want the pain to go away. And this morning during meditation, which is when I'm shoveling in the barn, it came to me that every human, right? We go to the bathroom, we have a bowel movement. Sometimes it's not super comfortable. Sometimes there might be a little bit of pain involved, but we don't. Judy's losing her mind right now. So, but what we don't do, right, is we don't stop and say, let me stop here and find a pill or somebody else to fix this, right? Because we know that doesn't make any sense. What we do instead is we move through the process knowing, absolutely confident that on the other side of the process, everything's going to be good, right? Because our body is trying to get rid of something, eliminate something that it doesn't need. And sometimes there's discomfort in that. This is actually an amazing, whatever the thing is, English term to about all of the different kinds of pain that we might process. So whether it's a cold that comes up or someone I was talking to this morning sprained her ankle really badly. And a few days in, she said, you know what? I don't need this pain anymore. And she said the next day, her pain was gone and she was able to take her brace off. Right? This process of instead of saying like telling everybody about the pain and talking about it and focusing on it and whatever, she just said to herself, I don't need this. She let go of her attachment to it and that energy, because that's what pain is, right? That energy was able to move out of her and poof, it was gone. Or should I say plop, it was gone.
Oh, nice.
my, my mother could be watching, so I got to think about that now.
Too late. Well, and one of the first things I learned when I embarked on this journey of self-discovery is, you know, pain is the physical manifestation of blocked emotions.
Mhm.
Whatever it is you're trying to hide, whatever it is you're trying, refusing to deal with and don't want to look at. And we've talked about creating survival techniques to move through all that. Well, the survival techniques work for so long. And then as that continues to build and build and build that blockage, the physical body expresses it through physical pain
Yeah,
or illness,
yeah, yeah.
So when you experience something that's bringing you pain, Kris has a great process. It's like talk to it, ask it. What do you want me to know? What are you trying to tell me that I'm not seeing?
Mhm.
Talk to your pain and see what it has to say because it
Yeah,
has a message.
yes. And dive into the experience. Whatever the experience of pain is, if it's a cold, sit down and scan your body and say, where am I feeling this? What does it feel like? If it had a color, what would it be? If it had a direction, what direction would it be moving? Just really immerse yourself in the experience because when we put our presence, our very powerful presence on a situation in our life, we speed up the processing. And the faster it processes, the faster it's out of our system.
Mhm. We had somebody in class last night that has a cold, and her grandson has a sinus infection. And what did you say?
I said, I got out actually Louise Hay's book, You Can Heal Your Body. And I said that I had heard that sinus infections and colds can be a form of crying on the inside. When we can't give ourselves permission to express the sadness or the grief, the regret, the guilt, the whatever it is that the shame, right? Whatever it is that we're feeling that's really low and heavy. When we can't give ourselves permission to feel that and express it on the outside, our body can take it upon itself to help us out by expressing it on the inside. And gee, we ended up with all kinds of crying happening inside, which is, frankly, less comfortable.
Very much so.
Mhm. And a Louise Hay's book said that you would be irritated with someone, probably a someone in your life, right? So it matches up. At least in my mental model, that matches up. You're irritated with someone, and rather than expressing that irritation and that sadness, your body's manifesting it on the inside and saying, "This is what's going on with you." And if we give ourselves permission to participate in what's going on with us, to acknowledge it and participate, the pain actually processes through easier, gentler. It just, and we can be free of it. In fact, this unbelievable thing, my husband came home with a cold, and I got a sore throat and I got a stuffed up nose. And I was like, oh, the sickness is here. And then I was working and then I said, no, I don't need to be sick. And I went back to work. And the next thing I knew, it was gone. You know that feeling where, oh, the something is about to settle in on me? I just kind of said, no, thank you in my way without realizing that's what I was saying. And it didn't stay. It came up, it processed, it left.
And that's a big difference. You said, I don't need to be sick.
Yeah.
Not, oh my God, I can't be sick.
Yes.
My daughter, who she's like, Mom, do you ever say my name on the show? And I was like, no, I wouldn't think you'd want me to. And she was like, you can.
Oh,
I'll
oh.
be famous. So I
Aw.
say, what's up? How you doing? So my daughter
Thank
Maddie
you.
is into musical theater. And the past 3 summers, she has done a show. And leading up to Tech Week, all she says to herself is, I can't get sick. I can't get sick. I can't get sick. I can't get sick. And what happened? All 3 years, sick the beginning of Tech Week.
Yep. Yep. Works like a charm.
Yes. So I don't need to be sick is very different from I can't get sick. I can't get sick.
Yes. And how is it different, right? The I don't need to be sick is an acknowledgement of my power, my health.
Hmm.
Like I'm at peace. I don't need to be sick. Now, let's be clear. If there was some other part of me that with more infinite intelligence that I have in my conscious mind, that decided that I did need to be sick for a reason and that happened, I would accept it and I would process it through it. I would participate with it and process it through. Right? I'd be like, okay, where's the message? Okay, apparently I did need to be. Right?
Hmm.
The key here is I'm not afraid of it.
Hmm.
That's really the key. Um, I don't feel like it's dangerous. I don't feel like it's going to say something about me that I don't want to know. It's just life has, I don't know, it has spices to it. Things come up. And when they do, we really have a lot of say as to how we experience that.
Yeah, and what I'm hearing, especially in the collective energy that we're in right now, there
Ah,
is a lot of subconscious moving forward to conscious thought.
yeah.
So there's things that have been planted in there, they've been living in there, they've been running in there that we're not familiar of.
Mm,
So if it's coming forward and we're not paying attention to it, we could get the stuffy, the illness set in. So
mhm,
if Kris says, I don't need to be sick, and her body is like, there's some things you're missing here. That's why we say, start asking the questions.
yeah.
What is it I need to know? What is it I'm
Mhm,
not seeing?
mhm.
And move from there.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's really in this energy of, declaring that you're willing to have your journey, the one that's working for you, the one that's in alignment with your higher self, or however you think about that, your soul, right? You're willing to have that experience in recognition of the fact that it will benefit you. And that if you go with it, actually, it's not so painful. Most of life's struggle and pain is because we're resisting because we think the thing that's trying to happen is working against us, or the person in the situation or whatever it is working against us. And once we learn to start trusting that life loves you. I know that could sound, if I'd said that, somebody had said that to me like 5 years ago, I would have, I mean, who are
It's got a
you?
great way of showing it.
Exactly, exactly. Like, well, let me tell you my story of woe. If you think that's true, let me tell you how wrong you are. I mean, that would have been my reaction. So, if right now you're like wanting to send little darts at me, yeah, I get it. Um, and what we're saying is that don't believe us. Keep experiencing. Keep, yeah, experimenting
Mhm.
with what's happening and exploring and saying, well, what happens if I think about it this way? Or, what if I need to know? What if I open up just a little bit to a different experience? Can something happen that can start to give me some evidence that my life actually is working for me and that I just need to be a little bit more of an informed and purposeful driver?
Yeah, one of the most powerful statements that I've learned through all this is that's not working for me.
Yeah.
That's not working for me. And it's come in with myself, every relationship I have, because it gives you the freedom to, you don't have to justify it. You simply say, that's not working for me.
That's right.
I want to try something else.
That's right. And
You
you
know?
have the right, you have that right. Nobody else has to agree with you,
Mm-mm.
right? This is the really interesting thing. And what we're talking about right now, it might seem like, are you talking about building your new, framing up your new life story? We're talking about creating the conditions where you're able to,
Yeah,
right?
that's why last week taking the inventory is so important,
Mhm.
because it makes you look at what's going on in your life, what is working, what isn't working. Are we ready to get rid of what's not working? Or for some reason, do we feel we need to keep trying to make it work?
Right.
And if that's where we are, remember what we say about conflict. You've made the choice, be at peace with the choice you've made
Yep.
until you reevaluate and make another choice.
Hmm.
Because peace is it. You can be wherever you are in your life. If you're at peace with where that is, I'm at peace with the fact that I want to continue beating myself up for a little bit because
Hmm.
I felt really stupid for doing what I did.
Right.
Okay. Well, don't beat yourself up for beating yourself up.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Which we end up doing so often.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I actually said to someone the other day, yeah. I said to someone who was beating themselves up, I said, "Oh, don't beat up this person I care about." And he said, "I can beat myself up if I want." I said, well, it's true, right? I mean, we can. We
Mm-hmm.
can absolutely. We have the right to do that. And what we're inviting you to do is to explore how things feel and work when we're beating ourselves up, and how things work and feel in your life when you're being kind and respectful to yourself. Just
Give,
see if there's a difference.
giving yourself grace.
Give yourself grace.
Giving
Yeah.
yourself grace. Yep.
Hmm. Yeah. And so you'll need trust and respect to build your new life story. Um, in order for you to have a new life story, it has to be one in which you see yourself as somebody worthy of kindness and respect.
Yeah. And you have to trust the guidance that you get from
Hmm.
within because no one knows your truth but you.
Yeah.
No one.
Yeah. And so, as that's the bad news in the beginning, right? Oh my God. And as you move along, that's such a great thing, because you really come to understand that the more you know yourself, the more you love yourself, and the more you love yourself, the more powerful you become in your ability to create a life that you truly love. Right? But it has to go in that order. So we've kind of been conditioned to think, if I had a life I loved, then I would think highly of myself and then I would love myself. That's never going to work,
No.
just because of the way life works. It delivers what we see, what we perceive, what we expect and believe. It delivers that. So it's not going to deliver the perfect life to somebody who thinks they're unworthy of the perfect life.
Right. And when we were preparing for the show, and we started talking about framing your new life story, it was, when I was growing up, my father was a corporate headhunter. So he went through with all of us, what is it you like? And he was good about asking what it was we enjoyed and creating, starting us thinking, okay, well, can you make money at that? So that was one of those things. Okay, you like that, you enjoy that, but can you make money? And everything was built around, education was all about educating yourself to the point where you could do a job that would make you a lot of money so that you could provide for yourself and your family.
Hmm.
And here we come saying, maybe we want to look at things a little different.
Yes. Yes.
There are plenty of people, and Kris, I know you being part of the corporate world, there are plenty of people that make a shit ton of money and they're miserable.
Hmm.
Absolutely miserable. They hate
Yeah.
they hate the work they're doing every single day. They live for vacation. They drown themselves in unhealthy behaviors to nullify the fact that they hate what they do every day.
Yeah.
So we're challenging you in framing your new life story to focus on something else.
Yes. And the flip side of that. So this is a perfect example. So there's the example of what it's like in the battleground. People forcing themselves to do things that they don't enjoy, and oftentimes hate, right? And then creating coping mechanisms to try to deal with the fact that they hate what they're doing. And they also hate themselves for selling out, right? That's a piece of it too. So
Mhm.
that's battleground behavior. As we move into the oasis, we're flipping that around and we're saying, money isn't the issue. It's what we're valuing, what we're placing in the center of our reality. Are we saying that I'm going to build my life around money? Or are we saying I'm going to build my life around what I love, around my purpose, around feeling good about how I spend my time? And then watch how, when we're in that vibration, how much better our lives work. There are a lot of people who make a lot of money doing what they love, and there are a lot of people who make a lot of money doing what they hate. And what we're suggesting is being in the category where you love what you're doing and you're making a lot of money is a much better way to go through life.
Yeah, and it's funny because even when we say making a lot of money, it's when you are in that vibration of love, joy, truth. All that is of that vibration comes to you.
Hmm.
And that can sound airy fairy to people, that this concept may be new to.
Hmm.
But that's, we've been working in all these episodes to build up to you being the one that powers your life.
Right.
And the guidance of your heart, soul, universe, whatever it is, God, whatever it is you call that higher power, being guided by that and trusting that
Hmm.
all will be provided. And what Kris and I have found is, yes, money is something that's needed in this world for us to do what we do, but it also shows up in a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
And battleground thinking keeps you very limited in what abundance looks like and how it can come to you.
Right.
And what I have found, because I personally, was in that world of money means is everything. I don't have it. I can't do anything that I want to do because of money or lack thereof. And stepping over into the oasis, realizing that when I'm serving, when I'm doing what lights me up, it comes, and it comes in a lot of different unexpected ways.
Yeah.
I stopped thinking in that box where it can only come to me in this way. That was my expectation, to just opening myself up to, I allow it to come to me in any way it possibly can, through love, joy, truth.
Yeah.
And it completely shifted everything about my life.
Mm-hmm.
Those expectations, what do we know about expectations? They're the cock block of the universe.
Yes,
So
they are.
release the expectations, open your eyes, open your mind, open your heart, and open your hands.
Mhm.
Allow it to come to you in love, joy, and truth.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. We have 3 questions, actually, specifically that will set you on your way to creating the anchor of your purpose. I've personally experienced, I didn't know that I didn't know that I had a trauma trunk. I didn't know that I had a lot of emotional wounding. I didn't know that I was incredibly insecure. I didn't know that I had a lot of shame, right? I had no idea. I didn't know that I had a lot of guilt, all of those things. When I started out on this Masterful U, Peaceful Empowerment Works adventure, I knew that I wanted to create a place in the world that felt different for people, where what people said and what they did were the same. Where people said, we want to help you, and you actually got helped, instead of judged and criticized and competed with, and right, all of the things. And so I thought how nice it would be if people from the very beginning, if we had, like education system where we help people to find out who they are and what matters to them, and what calls to them, what are their interests, follow them, turn everybody into an adventurer that follows their hearts and really learns how their heart talks to them, because all of us get our language, interpret the vibration a little bit differently. So the better we can read that, the more we become able to trust it, because we find out, my gosh, it's never wrong. So that's incredible. So I wanted to build that. And really, I wasn't very equipped to build that because I still had all of this trauma and I still got my feelings hurt and I still got, frustrated and angry. And so I was on an emotional roller coaster that felt like it dragged me around and I didn't really have much control, which was kind of true. And so we ended up developing Own Your Experience and Own Your Interactions, in fact, as a way of helping me realize in order to own my influence, I was going to have to heal myself. And then I was going to have to find a way to interact with people who may not be healed and who may not be interested in being healed, right? While I wanted to stay in that vibration of peace. And so this is how this journey is unfolded. And so what we're saying on answering these 3 questions, which we're about to present, is that if you make your purpose, your calling, your something that matters to you, your passion, something that, gosh, if this were in the world, then the world would just be different. And I would feel just as big and bright as I possibly could if I played a role in bringing this and gifting this to the world, right? That's your fuel, or at least it turned out to be my fuel. And a lot of us have experienced this. That can be your fuel to help you to move through emptying the trauma trunk, which sometimes is a little heavy and boring, right?
Absolutely. That's why at Masterful You, we talk about it's all experiential learning.
Yeah.
Kris lived it, learned from it. She's had her team with her, supporting her along the way, providing guidance when needed, and all those things. So this is a process that she's lived through, we've lived through, and we wouldn't be talking to you about it unless we thought it could help.
Yeah.
And everybody's gonna have their own experiences and move through it as they do. We support guidance. I mean, that's what we do. We provide guidance, support, encouragement. We'll be we're your biggest cheerleaders. Anybody who's bringing more light, love, and joy to this world, woohoo! We don't give a
Yeah.
shit what it looks like, because
Yeah.
everybody's different.
That's right. That's right. And in our classes, a lot of times, crying is part of releasing. And so we don't spend a lot of time crying, but every once in a while something comes up that crying is the appropriate release, right? And somebody starts to cry, and inevitably within like 20 seconds, they're laughing. Because they're like, oh, I guess I was in zone 1, right? As the tears are flying, and then we're all laughing together. It's such a beautiful healing process to be able to be vulnerable and honest in front of people and have them love you and laugh with you.
Mhm.
And to know and to feel how genuine that is, it's been life changing for me.
Yes, me too. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So before Kris unloads these questions on you, We
Am
would
I going
like
to unload them?
a pen and a piece of paper because you might want to jot them down.
Yeah. Judy's really good. She thinks about all those things. Me, I'm just like, I'm going to throw this question past you and good luck catching it. It's just the way my mind works. Um, yeah. So the first question would be, what work would you choose? And the words are very important. What work would you choose if you knew you would prosper? Oh, I just felt a collective gasp. What? If we took all the limits off? If we could just be whoever we want to be, do whatever we want to do, what would that be? Yeah. Yeah. Let that part of you that has the answers that you're looking for talk to you.
Take a deep
Don't
breath.
shut it down. Hear it out.
Yep.
Yeah.
None of the yeah buts.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
no. Yeah, I'd love to do that, but no yeah buts. Remember, there are no limits.
Right. Right. Absolutely. Okay. Number 2. I love this one. What difference would you choose to make? What difference? And this is important to understand. Like, the difference you choose to make might be, oh, I'm going to cook a different kind of food in my house, or I'm going to start volunteering somewhere, or I'm going to start, a business, or I'm going to bring more um, positive experience into my current workplace. Right? So making a difference, it's for you. It's wherever, if something were different in your life, if you were making that difference for yourself and others, um, what would you choose? And so what difference would you choose to make if you knew your efforts would be successful? Yeah, there's no failure.
And remember, you working on you healing your traumas, you showing up for you, being kind and respectful, makes your light brighter. It
Hmm.
raises your vibration. It takes you to that place of vibrating in love, truth, and joy, which brings peace. And by you doing that for you, you're serving everyone around you.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. People notice, you know, that you're just, and they start, people feel safe with you because they are, because when you're in a state of peace, you have compassion. um you want to provide guidance and support, but you don't want to sacrifice yourself,
Mm-mm.
right? Because it's not some sort of wounding that we're trying to heal. It's just, as humans, when we're in that peaceful state, peaceful, purposeful state, it's natural that we want to help where we can. Yeah. And number 3, another big one. Who would you choose to serve and work with, right? Because those can be connected. Who would you choose to serve and work with if you knew your contributions would be valued? So, when I first started talking about this work 15 years ago, the people that were in my life at the time, right, were fairly mainstream. I had business clients, and I had a family that, you know, I don't think they even knew what woo woo meant, so they couldn't call me woo woo. It was just very sort of mainstream.
They say she
Uh,
crazy.
yeah, yeah, oh yeah. It was like, oh my God, what is she talking about? We don't know what she's talking about. Like, should we be worried? I mean, we probably need to stop this because this seems irresponsible, right? And so I'm trying to explain something I didn't understand. Like, I don't know why I can't explain it. I know I need to do this. I know that not doing this will kill me. And that was true. I knew that not doing it would kill me. Now, would it kill, this person? I mean, I think probably. I drank a lot to get, to get through the life that was kind of not No, I want to say that differently. I wasn't I didn't love myself. And I kept working really hard on my life to try to fix my life so that I would feel better. But the harder I worked, the more tired I got. And guess what? I didn't love myself more because that's not the way you do it. It wasn't that there was something wrong with me, it was that my approach was off, right? So I didn't have the words to explain that to people. I need to follow my heart. I didn't even know that's what I was doing. I just knew that I needed to follow this. I needed to find out, is there a way we can make the world more in alignment? I would walk into companies and they would tell me how great they were. And then, because I consulted to over 100 companies over the course of 20 years. And I would go in and they would tell me their story of the company. And then I would go to actually do the project and I would find out, nope, not what's happening here at all.
It's a
Right?
shit.
It's just as dysfunctional as every other company I've been in. And what I mean by that, it's power dynamics. It's like in so many organizations, we've got a boat with 5 people in it. Three of them are rowing in one direction, 2 of them are rowing the other direction, and one sitting there saying, "I'm not going to row." Right? And so everybody's putting effort into something. The person in the middle is putting effort into being obstinate. That
Mhm.
takes effort. I know because I spent some time in the middle of the boat, right? And we've got people rowing and they're efforting and they're like, why aren't we really getting anywhere? It's because we're competing with one another, right? Because we don't love and trust ourselves enough to be vulnerable and speak our truth to one another. Yeah. So a whole lot of people just went like, yeah, okay, you lost me there.
Well, we have a society that believes you can't do that. You can't
Right.
show vulnerability as weakness. You can't show weakness. And everybody is a competitor
Right.
because in order for me to win, you have to lose.
Right.
Mm-mm. We want to create a world where it's a win-win-win. Everybody
Hmm.
wins, and that is possible.
Yeah. It happens. And in fact, my consulting career was all word of mouth. And it was actually because I didn't know this, but the win-win was in me. There were opportunities where I could have made a job last a lot longer than it needed to last, and I could have made a lot more money. I could have taken advantage, but that felt out of alignment for me. I didn't have the word at the time, but integrity is very important to me. And so my job, I felt my role was to help the client get what they needed as quickly and painlessly as possible. And yes, I was well compensated for it, but it had to feel like an even exchange. And so I ended up having a career that it was all 100% word of mouth. Right. And it was, and I would run into people and they'd say, oh, we had this consulting team in here and they spent a year here. And we spent, sometimes hundreds of thousands, sometimes more,
Mhm.
having this implementation done. And I would come in and in 6 weeks, the implementation would be done. Now, was that because I was so much brighter, more knowledgeable than the other consultants? No. It was actually because my intention was to get them to a place where they could be at peace with their implementation and they could understand what they were doing. And I didn't compete with anybody, I helped them. So when I sat down with their data entry person who was scared because they thought, if I don't get this right, I'm going to lose my job, I said, If I were you, I'd be pretty scared that you're going to lose your job over this. Don't worry. That's not what's going to happen here." Right? And that, like, think about how that just changed. Like, whoa, she just said the truth of how I'm feeling. And then she reassured me. So the reason it happened in 6 weeks is because we were telling one another the truth, and I wasn't trying to guess what was really going on when they told me excuses. If you're
No,
a business,
and when
yeah,
you left, hearing very clearly, when you left, each person felt qualified to do
yes,
the job that they were responsible for, and
yes,
that was huge.
yes,
They felt
yes,
qualified and confident to do what was expected of them.
exactly. Because that was my goal. My goal was not to show them how smart I was. My goal was not to, scare them or to drag the project out so that I could get more money or go talk to the CFO and say, "Oh, you should, get rid of this person, and I'm going to charge you $10,000 for my person. I didn't do any of those games, which happen, by the way. They're happening out there because
Mhm,
people feel scared.
mhm.
And so we do desperate things. And maybe I was a little, naive. I just didn't know that was kind of the thing, fortunately. Um, but but there is something about when you care about the win-win outcome, it works.
And that's what you start looking for. I have found in doing this work that I now look for the win-win-win, because my knee-jerk response, for 50 some years was, "Oh, I can't do that,"
Yeah,
or "That's not possible," blah 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 blah. And then now I actually say, "Okay, here's the situation. How can we create a win-win-win situation here?"
there you go.
And when
Yeah,
that is your intention and you trust what comes forward, it works.
yeah,
It really works.
it does. Yes, and giving yourself permission, and we're getting ready to close here. Giving yourself permission, for me personally, I know when I feel like somebody's sizing me up and they expect me to try to impress them. Um, you know, I generally feel like I'm going to be me, and if this person doesn't see the value in that, I don't want to work with them.
Mm-mm.
Right? Because I don't want to work with people that it's about surface stuff and acting like trained monkeys. I actually want to connect on a real basis. And if like this is going to be a win-win, open communication, this could be lovely for both of us. But if it's going to be pretense and pretending and trying to guess what you're thinking, no, thank you.
No, thank you. No more, no more bumper stickers and bullshit. And be true and authentic to you.
Yeah.
Be true and authentic to you. And I have found out I am not for everyone. And that's okay.
Right.
That's okay. I'm no longer sitting at tables where I don't belong.
Yeah. Really
Yeah.
good point.
Yeah. So I feel like we need to review the questions one more time. Question number one: what work would you choose if you knew you would prosper? Question number two: what difference would you choose to make if you knew your efforts would be successful? And question number three: who would you choose to serve and work with if you knew your contributions would be valued?
Yeah.
These three questions moving forward, every step you take is going to be based on the answer to these questions. So take some time, sit with it, breathe,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
ask.
Yeah. When you're doing the work you choose and prospering and you're making the difference that matters to you and you're working with the people that you want to work with, that you're choosing to work with, how does that person treat their body? How does that person choose their relationships? How does that person behave in their relationships? Right? How does that person use their money? Right? You start to be able to kind of frame out your new life story based on this anchor of this is who I'm choosing to be in the world.
Whew.
Yeah,
All
it's
right.
beautiful. Yeah.
Yes, and we love comments, comments, comments. So after you sat with these questions for a bit, we'd love to have you comment wherever it is you're watching the show.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, we are the Peaceful Empowerment Work Show, and where there are three levels of engagement, which watching the show, workshops, and we have courses coming to you.
Hmm.
So check out our website at www.masterfulu.com. That is www.masterfulu.com.
Hmm.
All right. I
Yeah.
believe we are complete.
I believe we are. The transmission is
It's
complete.
complete. Everybody, week, and let us know what you're thinking. And we'll see you next week.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks,
All right.
Judy.
Thanks, Kris.